What's up, guys? So I had a friend of mine ask me a question about practicing and about he's been practicing his scales and stuff, and he's kind of hit a wall, and kind of just some advice on what he can do to kind of help his practice, or what he should be practicing, things like that. He's kind of just he's just starting out, or he's been playing for like a couple of years or something like that. And I get that a lot sometimes from a lot of my students or just friends in general who haven't been playing as long. And so they'll ask, what should they practice or whatever. What I like to play and what I've been taught and what my teacher gives me or my teachers have given me when it comes to scale stuff, a lot of what I like to do, basically, you can practice every single thing, different techniques, different like sweep patterns, string hopping, all kinds of different stuff with like the same old stale major scales, like major and minor scales. Just to get technique stuff, because it makes it easier when you're referencing the same thing over and over again, and then you can just transpose it to a different thing or a different position or a different scale. But it's easy when you're practicing certain technique stuff to always kind of go to what you're familiar with. It just makes it easier. To answer my friend's question, though, he was talking about he's learning the C major scale and all that stuff, and what he should practice because he's hitting a wall. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of this is real basic stuff. Again, this isn't anything crazy. So for all of my other friends who are guitar players that are like super advanced and badasses, you guys can all fuck off. This isn't for you. As for like beginner guys and people, just starting out, just questions in general. So let's start with C major. So everything I'm going to play here, just C major scale up and down the board, and you can start on C. A lot of people say, start and end on C, that kind of a thing. And you could do that, that's fine, but what I like to do and what I like to practice just for technique's sake is practicing the scale, knowing that it's C major, what I'm about to do in a single position, all the way up and down the guitar in different positions. So in this case, first position, meaning my index finger is on the first fret, and each of my fingers follow, so that's first position. If I move my hand down to the second fret where my index finger's over the second, fret hovering, that's second position, and so on. If I came all the way down here where my index finger's on the seventh fret, that'd be seventh position. So that's what I mean when I say positions, right? So here we go. First position, C major scale. I'm actually going to start with the open E. I'm not starting on the root note. I'm just playing it in a pattern. So I'm going to start here. So I'm starting with just the open E, going up and down. Here we go. Right, you guys have probably heard that a million times. So just C major up and down. Obviously, if you're playing bass, it's only the top four strings, so you would be playing. Right? So that's, again, you've probably heard that a million times. So now what we want to do with this, we're going to go to third position, because that's the next pattern in the C major scale where your hands are going to line up, your fingers, I'm sorry. So it would sound like this. Right? I'll do that again. Right. Now it's also G Mixolydian, but I'm not getting into that. I'll play those again. I'll play them slow, so you guys can get it. It's very simple. Again, if you know these patterns, cool. And then just kind of skip forward to the section where we're going to practice, like how to practice those same boring things, but mixing them in with other technique things and like more advanced stuff, I guess. So that first pattern, really slowly. right? That third position pattern, again, really slowly. Right, those two positions. I'm going to kind of speed down through the rest of these positions just to show you what I mean by playing C major up and down all the way down the guitar. Ah shit, sorry. Looks like I kind of missed that one, sorry. So that's, with the exception of the mistakes, and I'm not editing this, it's just, you know, I'm going to play it through, so fuck off. So that, again, that's based C major all the way up and down the board, and that's what I mean by that when I say that you're all of that is C major. And technically they're modes at the same time if you play them like that, starting with like your index finger on the sixth string there, they become different modes, but not getting into that. So now again, but it's all C major. If I had a thing going on, like, well, let's go over here to good old YouTube, and we'll play just some standard C major crap. Just a backing track here, and I'll show you. I'll manipulate all that stuff, and hopefully it's not too loud here. And I'll play over that, just the stuff that I'll like using those little scale patterns that I just did, and you'll see like it's all, you know, we'll see how we can use that as solo stuff. Kind of stuff. All right, let's see what we got here. Right. Like, I've never heard this fucking thing. Like, I just picked some shit at random. Again, forgive the mistakes. So, literally what I was doing was, I know those patterns, right? And I'm just picking notes at random. And obviously listening to the rhythm and trying to keep up and trying to add little things here and there. You know, you got the bends and stuff. To add to all that, and yeah, there's probably a bunch of other techniques going on. You got the sliding from one note position to another. Right? Now, again, when you practice these things up and down all the time, you get to know them so well that you can do stuff like you just kind of pick notes. You start to get used to patterns. Now, how do we get there? How do we kind of just know stuff like that? So again, let's take the first two patterns that we did at the very beginning, and this is how, and you can use all these other patterns that I did down here, and this is how we can turn them into a practice, turn them into some technique stuff, right? So let's say we're going to take the beginning one, first position. And I'm going to take that third position that I did, and I'm going to play all the way down from the sixth string down to our first string, our high E. Then I'm going to slide down to the tail end of that third position pattern and play that in a descending fashion. to come back up, and I'm gonna come right back over here and recycle it. I'm just gonna kind of go in this circle thing. So here it is. Right. And I should be using a metronome or whatever. Like you want when you're practicing this stuff, you do want to play with a metronome, so you stay in time and all that kind of thing. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna use a metronome. I'm gonna use a stupid indie rock track that we have. And I'm just gonna play that, and you'll see how it'll even though it's a scale, it'll still sound cool, right? So here we go. So again, you can take a backing track, you can take a metronome, whatever, as long as it stays fun. I like using backing tracks are cool because it's not just a standard click that is boring. So you can do stuff like that. And literally, I'm just taking the same two scales that I know, those two patterns there, same scale. Sorry, it's the same scale. It's all C major, and just in two different patterns, and playing one all the way up, coming down here, playing it back all the way down, and recycling. You can do that, backwards. You can start it up here. Like all that, make sure your technique there, I kind of cheated, but right, you always want to stay in position, so as you transition, sorry, switching positions, staying with my index finger so I'm in third position, right, you can start down here, you can start your pattern, you can start in that third position and come up. That's a neat way to practice the same old boring C major scale. Like instead of just like and just in one position up and down, you're adding to another pattern. How else can we do this? You can play in what they call like groupings, where you're going like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're playing the first 4 notes. You go to the second note of the scale and you play the next 4 notes. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on. You're playing each note of the scale 1, 2, 3, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of thing. Just going in order, and you're playing 4 notes. Go to the next note in the scale, play the next 4 notes. You go to the next note in the scale, play the next 4 notes. Right? That's just groupings. You can do that 4s, 5s, 6s, whatever you want to do. It gets pretty interesting. You can do that. Another simple thing you can do, really, to get to know your patterns and things like that. And especially for the position changing, I guess, take just 2 strings and just 2 patterns. So let's go back to this first one here, and I'm gonna take the first 2 strings of that pattern right at the end here. Those notes, right? Those are the end, right? Just those 4 notes there, or 6. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 6 notes there. I'm gonna shift down again to the same 2 strings and the last 6 notes in this third position here. The end of that third position. So we have, and then you can recycle that, and that becomes all of a sudden an exercise, right? 2, 3, 4. Right. So again, just using C major, and just finding new ways to mess with it. Now again, for my advanced buddies and all that, and everybody else who's an advanced player, y'all, so obviously just ignore this. I'm sure you guys doing all kinds of other crazy shit. So it's not for you. This is for beginner guys and people just kind of learning this stuff at the beginning and wanting to know how to go to the next level and take it other ways and all that shit. With just your regular scales. Now, of course, later on you incorporate other scales like the pentatonic. Sorry. Right. But again, these are just simple ways, cool things to do with just a simple C major scale. Also, again, as you learn the other patterns, like we just use those two. You can incorporate all of them. Let's say we're going to use the third one here, or sorry, the third position in the third pattern in fifth position, which would be this. Very common pattern. A lot of guitar players know this. Usually the first pattern we learn when it comes to C major. So now we have 3, and we can do the same kind of thing, same kind of exercise, and we're going to add different stuff. We're going to add the new one now. So let's say we're going. Now instead of going back up to the top, I'm going to slide down to 5th position, start that new pattern. Now I'm going to slide back into the tail end of that 3rd position, descend that. Now I'm going to come back to the top. Now I'm going to switch. So you see how it continues to move on you. Sorry, that was a different thing. Different technique. Right, you basically keep, without doubling your notes, because that's what I did right there. I was gonna, right, I didn't want to do that. Without doubling your notes, you just keep playing through them, pattern by pattern, in this kind of figure 8 type thing. So let's try we'll do it with the track again here. Using the extra pattern. 2, 3, 4. Again, that's how we get stuff like again, just using, doing a little technique or tapping thing. Sorry. Right. I mean, again, I'm not trying to do anything super fancy, just adding little crappy things, bends and pull-offs and things like that. But I mean, for the most part, the core of it is just. Right, all that stuff. And again, it gets fun when you can hear, how those patterns, when you have sound behind it and you have the chords behind it, how all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, it actually doesn't sound like a boring scale, isn't it? Right, and of course in the more advanced things, when you start using arpeggios and all these other groupings and things like that, and moving with each chord, it gets a lot more musical, which obviously is the whole point. We'll all strive for that. So, but again, those are more of the advanced stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, other guitar players, are like, oh, I fucking do that shit all the time. Well, you know, again, I'm not talking to you, so this is for my beginner friends. So cool. Those are just a couple of ways to practice, you know, the simple C major scale stuff. Have some fun with it. You know, kind of thing. Again, you can take two strings. You can take the middle strings and just practice those guys in different patterns and do stuff like, let's say I'm going to do. Right, just doing that, just getting used to those two strings, the two middle strings, which is G and D, and getting used to the pattern and the notes that are there. Right, all that kind of thing, just drilling that, and all of a sudden, when you go to improvise, you go to play something, your hands get used to it, your fingers. They just memorize stuff like that, and you can, you know, do a big stretch and get some really cool sounds. Right? Because it all fits. It's all part of the thing. So.